One of the coolest things that I've ever been able to do as an author was to sign at New York Comic Con in 2019 at the same time as Veronica Roth, who wrote Divergent. I also had the opportunity to meet the voices of Belle and Ariel from the Disney franchise, and I've been able to hang out with some really cool cosplayers. My publishing family was there. I got to meet a ton of fans. In fact, I've got some great stories on that too. And on the 2-year anniversary, we are going to look back at my trip to New York City, and I've got a ton of videos and a ton of photos and stories that I want to share with you as we go. Now, I used to live up north. I was actually just a 3-hour drive from the city, so I actually drove in for this occasion, but my entire publishing house came in for the event, so most of them flew in, and we got to actually stay in a hotel inside of Times Square. So we actually overlooked the red staircase where you can actually buy tickets to go to Broadway and like do all the cool things. And when you looked out of the hotel window, you saw everything happening in Times Square. So the nightlife there, that was really interesting. They had blackout curtains on the in the hotel so that you wouldn't see all the bright lights because the billboards were everywhere, but you could hear all of the people down dancing and playing in their bands and like doing all the cool things. You could see the creepy cosplayers, and you could see all of the not creepy cosplayers as well. There was so much going on, and this hotel was amazing. It had this really big elevator that, like, it was a whole system. You pressed a button and it told you which elevator to go to, and then it took you to your floor. There were really cool restaurants in there, and just so much went into this really cool hotel, which was right next to, are you ready for this? The theater that housed Hamilton. And here's a little bonus story. While we were there, I got to give a copy of my book to the cast of Hamilton. So there was a lot of really cool things involved with this trip. On my days off, I got to go to Broadway and just do all these amazing things. So we're actually going to look through some of my footage and some of my photos right now, and I want to do it in order. So I've got my phone here, I've got some of the imagery on here that I transferred over to my computer once we got there, or actually when we got back, but I still have some of it still on my phone, so we're just going to swipe through. So first things first, I drove into the city. I actually had somebody drive me in because there was no way I was driving inside of the city, and I just got to see all the really cool things, which is something I usually don't get to see, because when I went for day trips to New York City, I would catch a train or I would catch a bus in, and so we kind of like circumvented some of the things, or I wasn't able to see out the windows or whatever. So I got the opportunity to see New York City traffic and all the really cool things there. We were right next to the Hamilton Theater, which I'm going to show you a little bit more of, and we were in Times Square, which was really, really cool. So let me show you a little bit about the hotel. Hey guys, from New York City. I am so excited because it is Comic-Con, and I will be there tomorrow on Thursday, and then I get on Sunday signing, and I just kind of wanted to give you the night view from my hotel room. How cool is this, guys? I'm so excited for this. I'm excited to the point where my tripod isn't staying up. I'm literally right outside of the theater that hosts Hamilton. So the Hamilton Theater, I don't know what the actual name is over there. The Gershwin Theater with Wicked is just down the street. There's tons and tons of stuff. I'm literally right outside of Times Square. Like, if you look around the corner, Times Square. This is right here. This is the road. This is the road that leads up to Times Square. So lots of fun there. Now, I was not at New York Comic Con every single day because my publishing house brought all of the authors, and so we each had different days assigned to us. So we were there for a couple of days and not there for a couple of days, and I was the very first day. And so my very first book signing was during that lunch block during the very first day, which meant very low traffic, but man, did I sell books. It was a really great experience. I got to bring all of my books, not just the one with that publishing house, and I got to sign copies of all of these books for all of these amazing people. One of the very first things that happened was this lovely gentleman came over and shoved a camera in our faces and did an interview for like a podcast or like a YouTube channel. I actually have no idea what it was for. I never did see the footage, but it was a really good interview. We had a lot of fun just chatting, and he had like his camera and his big light system, and just he went around and just interviewed all sorts of people at the event. So it was really, really fun for me to jump into those conversations, and I did other interviews, and I signed a lot of things. I talked to a lot of people, and there were a lot of really good, interestingly enough, a lot of really good dads who brought their daughters over to the table and let them pick out books. Like, that was their big thing at the Comic-Con. They got to like buy something cool, but then they also got to buy a book. So it was a lot of fun meeting those people. And let's see, I'm gonna go through and show you some of these really cool things because they had a lot of like book events there. So Comic-Con is not necessarily designed specifically for authors and for books, but a lot of the big New York publishers do go to this event. And so they have big tables, and then they have like other tables where you can sign at and events. And so I got to go around and meet a lot of different people. I got to hang out with some really cool authors. And I'm just gonna like pop in some of these photos. Oh my goodness. Okay. So if you do not know Sky Gets Fancy, she is a really cool cosplayer. She works for Disney in their costume design department, that's the word I wanted, but she also does her own cosplays, and she designs these really intricate, really amazing costumes, like the Epcot ball, and she's done like the Tree of Life from Animal Kingdom, and she has this really cool Slinky from Toy Story 1, and she just, if you haven't checked out her Instagram, you need to, because it is amazing. I'm gonna drop it on screen so you can see it. You gotta go check her out, because that was so amazing. That was like the coolest cosplayer I met at the event. But there were so many good cosplayers too. Oh, I'll just put some of those in there. I want you guys to see all these cosplayers because they did amazing jobs with their costumes. There was everything from like Disney characters to Game of Thrones. I saw Buddy the Elf. Y'all, there was a Buddy the Elf who just went skipping through Comic-Con. I caught him going down the escalator. By the time I got my camera up, he was like walking through the crowd off the escalator, but it was just so perfect. The entire story, I loved it. I had so much fun. I had so much fun meeting all the cosplayers, and they were like holding my books up and doing all this cool stuff, and I was very jealous I wasn't there in costume, but I had to go be all authory and like be recognizable. That was the thing. I actually had people come to Comic-Con to meet me. And so when they saw me, they would like scream across the room and come running over. It was so much fun. I have stories on that. Ask me about it sometime. I'm not gonna share it in this one, but like, good stories. We did like a lot of really cool things. When I wasn't signing, I got to go walk around. I got to go talk to people. I got to go meet people. We got to go through and do all the things. Okay, we're at the point. Okay, I can actually tell you, I've been like delaying this, but here we go. So when I was not signing, when I wasn't doing my book signings, I was like stayed near-ish the table sometimes, but I also went to explore, and I got to go do things, and I got to go meet people and like go to other tables and talk to other authors and celebrities and things like that. I had the opportunity to meet two really important people that I'm very excited about, and I just want to tell you this story. So this was a photo op, so this was not like me getting special treatment and meeting them. I got to do a photo op with them. And I got to meet Jodi Benson, who is the voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid, and I got to meet Paige O'Hara, who is the voice of Belle in Beauty and the Beast. And so I got to go and have just a couple minutes to talk with them, and I got to show them my book. So you guys know I'm a retellings author. I have a Beauty and the Beast retelling that you guys haven't seen yet, but oh, it was amazing. And I got a Little Mermaid retelling, and so I got to show them my covers for my books, because I didn't take the entire books. That would be really heavy to carry, but I did have my book covers printed out, so I showed them the books that were inspired by the love that they created via their movies for those stories for me. So I got to show them that. They were really excited about those. I got to chat with them for a couple minutes, and I got to take photos with them holding up my books, which was just incredible. And then later on, they actually did a princess panel, and so we got to go and watch them speak. And so it was the voice of Belle and Ariel and Tiana and Cinderella, and then we had extra people pop in as well. So there was like a lot of really cool people who got to come join us and have conversations, and they answered fan questions, and Jodi Benson did like a big group Instagram story post from back in the day. Like we were all there in the background, and oh, it was just so lovely, and we got to listen to them talk, and oh, I just had a ball. Look at this.
But they knew I was committed to it. I'd been that way since I was little, so.
I think I was different. I'm sorry. I think I was different. I wasn't a show. There's something really royal about it. And it's not intentional. It's totally unintentional.
It's just who she is.
Yes, she is effortless.
She's royalty.
It's effortless.
She is. Yes, she is. I learned how to play the guitar, and I just kind of played all of her songs in my room, just singing and imitating her. Carole King, James Taylor, Chicago, the Doobie Brothers. I'm giving my age, but it's all good. It's just a number, whatever. So yeah, and I think, and that's kind of on my bucket list, is to meet her. So if you can hook me up, that'd be awesome. And so Judy was one of mine, Julie Andrews, and oddly enough, Maria Callas. I would pretend I could sing opera when I sang with Maria Callas, but it actually helped. I did a little bit with Michael Tilson Thomas, and I realized I was tired of. And the reason why is because the first note that starts on the piano, I see Howard standing right next to me. And so it's almost a little selfish moment that I get to relive a memory from so many years ago. That's like a wonderful, wonderful moment for me of 3 minutes and 35 seconds that I just get to hold on to and just be so grateful. So it's a huge blessing. So that's my memory.
It is not overplayed. It is one of my most played on Spotify. So,
well, for me, it's also Howard Ashman. And on the funny side, my very first day I went in to record. I don't know what I was playing to the back row or whatever, and he said, "Ethel Merman, stop." He did, yeah. He said, "Okay, you're on camera, you're on film, small, subtle, all of that." But that was the funny part. But the other part that was interesting and that was really emotional for me was this title song of Beauty and the Beast. Angela was so brilliant. I have to tell you, when she came to record it that day, we were all in the studio with the symphony, and Angie had been up for 24 hours with flight trouble and had no sleep. And Don Hahn said, "Angie, go home, we'll do this another day." She said, no, you've got the orchestra here, everything. And I have to preface this, I saw her 5 times in Gypsy on Broadway. I'm a huge, huge fan. You know? So she got up to the microphone and the orchestra started and she sang Beauty and the Beast to perfection. There wasn't a dry eye in the studio. And that's the one take that ended up in the movie.
And then of course there were author events as well. I got to go hang out with Veronica Roth for a couple of minutes. We ended up signing books at the same time, so we didn't get a lot of time to chat, but I did make the effort to go watch her speak on her panel, and then I got to chat with her for a couple of minutes after the fact. Holly Black was there, like a whole bunch of really cool authors. V.E. Schwab was there, and we got to chat, we got to talk, we got to do a little conversation time, and we had planned on doing some really cool things after the fact, and it was just really nice to be able to go and see other best-selling authors and do all the cool things and do book signings and just support each other. So I had a lot of fun jumping in and just meeting everybody and being a part of the book community at New York Comic Con. Scrolling through the rest of what we've got going on here. Oh! This was right around the time that the Maleficent movie was coming out, and so they had actually some makeup people there, and they did a great big giant, let's see, what was the company? Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll pop it on screen if I remember. But there was a makeup company who did makeup inspired by Maleficent. They were doing makeup, and like they did one of my publishing sisters' makeup while we were there. They had really, oh my gosh, let's talk about the booths. So at New York Comic Con there was like so many booths you could walk around, and so you could go see the artists while they were drawing things and buy their artwork, and you could go see the authors selling their books, and you could go see vendors selling things, and like the celebrity area and like all the cool stuff. And so just the vending area was so amazing. There were like pin people there, and they were like a lot of comic book type things, and there was a lot of like fandom-y type stuff there. Like shopping was good there. Y'all, there was, okay, so I didn't tell you about this part, but they open their doors at a specific time for people who collect Funko Pops, and they have, I'm probably gonna get the name wrong, but it's like the running of the Funko Pop people, and they would open the doors, and there would just be this massive crowd literally running through the building to get the new Funkos, because they didn't have limits on them, and you could buy them, and they would then resell them. So there were some collectors, but there were also some people who were there specifically to sell things, and they just like ran, and you had to stay out of their way. And so we were all at our table at the publishing house, and they're like, "Oh, it's time, get ready." So we watched these people run through the building to get the Pop Funkos, which were, by the way, not too far away from where we were signing things, and so we got a very good view of what was going on with that. But man, they had some really cool things there. And then of course on my days off, I got to go into the city. As I'm going through, I'm just like telling you things in order. So I got to go into the city, we got to go walk around Times Square and like all the cool places, and we got to go see all the things. We were actually sent on a mission by our publisher to take a copy of our book and hide it around the city, and then talk about it on social and let somebody go find a free copy of our book in the city. And so I went to, I think it was New York and Company, I think, and I gave it to the DJ there, and he had it at the DJ booth while he was playing the live music, and I gave it to whomever came to find it first. And then my publishing sister and I both got to give copies of our books to the cast in Hamilton while we were walking around, and we chatted with some of the cast and the stage manager and like all the cool things. We did get to go see Broadway shows, so there was a day when I did back-to-back Broadway shows. So in the afternoon I went to see Phantom of the Opera, which if you haven't seen it in New York City, just like the way that they create the stage and the chandelier, like it's cool to see it elsewhere, but nothing like New York City. And then that night, I got to go see Wicked, which is my all-time favorite Broadway show, just because it's a retelling, like, come on, this is for me. And it was just so magical, and I had seen it on tour in Richmond, Virginia, a couple years before that, and it was magical then, but in New York City, like, they can do so much more because they have that stage area, like, everything is there. It's not like they're traveling with it, so they had extra trap doors and just, like, bigger, more glamorous, wonderful things, and I just had so much fun. We had so much fun. It was so much fun to go to Broadway, and while we were out, I got to go to my favorite bakery, which is now closed because, you know, the world went crazy and everything was shut down for so long, so they had to close their doors, but it was Polly Perrette's bakery. So if you guys are fans of NCIS, she played Abby on NCIS. She and her friends own a bakery there, or owned. It was named after her mother, so it was Donna Bell's Bake Shop. Best scones I've ever had in my life. Right before they closed, I flew a box down to where I live now out of New York. It was expensive, but it was worth it. And I got to go get scones. We had them for breakfast several times while we were there, and it was so much fun just to walk around the city. And we went to the Disney store. If you guys haven't been to the Disney store, it's a 2-story store, and going up the escalator, they had the lanterns from Tangled. It was magical, and just like all the cool, wonderful, amazing things. We got to go to the Hershey store while we were there, and y'all know I was originally from Pennsylvania. I was several hours from Hershey, but if you haven't gone, we should have a conversation about that sometime, because Hershey Park, amazing. But we got to go see all the fun things in New York City, and we got to go shopping and just like do all the cool, fabulous, wonderful things. I'm scrolling through. And then one night, we actually, our publisher took us out to dinner, and so we went and we got to go over to Little Italy, and we had really good dinner, and there was a man with an accordion who was playing, and it was just amazing. My dad used to play the accordion, so he had the accordion. He taught me to play a little bit. I actually own his accordion now, and it was just so magical for me. It was like just like a really nice little thing for me, because it was only a few months after losing my dad, so it was just a nice little touch for me. I had a lot of fun with it. He just sang and he kept playing for us, and just it was lovely. I just loved it. So then, of course, when we were done eating, we got to go walk around. We saw Radio City, and we got to see like all the lights and the cars, and we got to walk around Times Square, and we just had so much fun. And I got to ride the subway for the very first time in New York City, which was an experience. But it was an entertaining experience. So we got to do all those fun, fabulous, wonderful things. And I'm just scrolling through my photos now, make sure I didn't miss anything important. I think that basically covers it. So we got to meet a lot of really cool people. We signed some books. We sold a lot of books. I did some shopping while I was there at the convention. Here's a fun story for you. I went to do my makeup, and I had brought a brand new foundation. I opened it up because I had used a different one at home, and there was nothing inside of my foundation. So I had to go to, I think it was like a CVS in New York City, and it was extremely expensive to replace that makeup, but I had to because I was there for days and didn't have my makeup. And we got to go and just experience New York City, and I mean, it was wonderful, it was glamorous, it was lovely. When I was in Times Square alone, it was a little bit dicey. Men like to scream and yell and spit at you if you don't interact with them in the way that they wish you to, and we just got to go to the bakeries, and we got to go get food, and we met the New York Fire Department men, and like all the cool things. Firemen is the word I was going for. We got to just see all the sights, and it was really nice because I usually take day trips into the city when I lived in Pennsylvania. and I never got to see the nightlife or the afternoon, and I didn't get to go to the Broadway shows because it never worked with the schedule for me to get back on a train or a bus. And so I got to do all the things during this trip that I didn't usually get to do because I lived so closely beforehand. So it was really, really fun. I loved the hotel. I loved being in Times Square. Broadway is my favorite thing. I can't say enough good things about Broadway, and I'm so excited they're opening back up. And we just had so much fun. And now as New York Comic Con is opening back up again this year in just a couple of days, I'm so jealous of all the cool celebrities that everybody gets to meet and all the good stuff that they get to do. And we're not going this year, but man, do I wish we were. So it was a really cool experience, definitely in the top things that I will ever do as an author. And I cannot say enough good things about that experience and about going and signing and meeting Jodi Benson and Paige O'Hara and the cosplayers and the other celebrities and the authors and being able to sign books and having people show up specifically for me and to meet me and to take photos with me and my books and all of the things. So I had just a really, really cool experience. And if you've got questions about my time at New York Comic Con, I would love to get those answered for you down below here on the 2-year anniversary of my time in New York City for Comic Con as a published author. Oh, you know what I didn't share? One more story. That was the year that they were announcing the new Hunger Games book. And so they announced it via this big banner inside of the event, and it was my day off. So I had a friend from home. She and her boyfriend went to the event, and she texted me the picture of it so that I could see it. Oh, it was so funny. I was walking around the city that day. But there was just so much, and I had a great time. I loved the experience. I loved being able to walk around and do all the cool things and see all the sights, and just New York is a fabulous, fabulous place to visit. If you haven't been, you should definitely sign up and go and make the travel plans and do whatever you have to do to get there. It is well worth the visit. You can go to Central Park or like all the cool things there. Just I highly recommend via all of my really great experiences in the city. I've never had a bad time in New York City. So if you can go, definitely go. And if you have the opportunity to go to Comic-Con, it is the best event. It is so good. It's so big. Everyone's so nice and so lovely and just so excited to be there. So you're going to meet some great people, have amazing experiences, and enjoy your entire time there. If you've got questions, drop them down below and let me know. Should I recap some of my other author events like PendCon or the other PendCon or MagicCon or some of the other events that I have signed at? Let me know in the comments below and I will see what I can do to deliver.